inspiring speech. Inshallah, our next speaker, Dr. Uthmaan Lateef, his topic is the importance of ideals in the world of images. Quick background for Uthmaan Lateef: he's the director of the Hittin Institute since March 2008. He's studied his Islam in Syria and Egypt and is a popular speaker at Khateeb at universities and masjids across the UK. He's currently Khateeb at a masjid and Islamic Centre in Slough. Alhamdulillah, he has a BA in First Honours in History and an MA in Distinction in Crusading Studies with a dissertation on religious poetry in the 12th and 13th century, and recently completed a PhD in the Muslim history effort to inspire meaning for Jerusalem in the 12th century. Further ado, inshallah, Dr. Uthmaan Lateef will start talking.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruh, wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. Man yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa man yudlilhu fala hadiya lahu. Wa ashhadu an la ilaha illa Allah wahdahu la sharika lahu. Wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. I chose the title for today's talk for many a reason. The title of today's talk is the place of ideals in a world of images. And this is a topic that has great relevance for all of us living in the time that we are, in the century that we are, and in the circumstances in which we are living in. The place or the importance of ideals in a world of images. Brother Adnaan was speaking about this towards the end. The fact that in essence we have seemed to have lost a lot of the essence behind the Book of Allah and the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We are of course believers in Allah, believers in the Book of Allah, believers in the message of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. But about the ethics or the ideals of Islam, it seems to have been something has gone wrong along the way. Not with all of us, but with some of us. In the words of many of the social historians and academics, and social theorists and political scientists, they say that we now live in a very peculiar situation. We live in a situation that we have created our own images and we now live in them. And we have, in the words of Daniel Boorstin in his book, The Image, A Guide to Pseudo-Events in America, that we have seemed to be the first people in human history to have made our images so real that we now live in them. Our images are our everyday beings. Our images are our heroes, our celebrities. Our images are ourselves. So we have concocted or created images and then we can now live in them. And in this process we have dispensed with the ideals. And so if you examine, for example, celebrity culture in this day and age, it is the celebrity that has a more relevance than the hero. The celebrity is the one that people have created as a role model for themselves. It is the celebrity who brings forth the ideals for other people. It is a celebrity that human beings, and particularly the young people, the youth, aspire to be like. But that celebrity, for example, cannot exist by themselves. Any celebrity cannot exist by themselves except being accompanied by the image. So take any celebrity, that celebrity is entirely redundant by themselves unless they have the visual accompaniment, unless they have the music that accompanies their arrival, unless they have the gloss and the aesthetics and the glitter and the glamour and the rainbow effect that goes along with that celebrity, unless they have the makeup artists, unless they have all of this aesthetic and the gloss, when that is in place, then the celebrity can survive. Without all of that, without the image that accompanies the celebrity becomes redundant and is simply discarded in the rubbish bin of history, like many celebrities have. If you go back to that occasion when the man came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he began to shake in his presence, and the Prophet replied to him and said, "Hawwin alayk fa inni lastu bi malik." He said to him, "Calm down or relax yourself, because I am not a king. Inni ibn imra min Quraysh kana ta'kul al-qadid. I am the son of a woman from Quraysh who used to eat dried meat in the desert." Now what the Prophet he did in this particular occasion and in many occasions is he took us, the ummah, away from the image, away from over-adulation or over-infatuation with the image, and he brought us in the world of ideals. And so he told the man, it is not about the way that I look, even though he had the best form, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, but it is not that. That is not the emphasis in this issue. He wanted to instruct his companions, that man included, and us as an ummah, about the importance of ideals. So when that great young companion, Mus'ab ibn Umair, may Allah be pleased with him, came along as a young individual, 17, 16 years old, and he was for sure the vogue of Mecca. He was what any of the young people today, perhaps, a lot of them would aspire to be like in Mecca. He was so handsome, he was so good looking, he was so well perfumed, he was so well funded by his family. He had all of the gloss. He was the image per se. If there were magazines in those days, and you would expect his face to be splattered on the front cover of those magazines. He was the vogue. He was the it. Everyone wanted to be like him. And that's how he carried himself. The women would line up just to catch a glimpse of him. He would walk down his own pathway. He had these good things about him, but they were restricted because they were only confined to the world of images. The question of ideals was absent. There was no mention of any ideals as yet, until of course he was exposed to the teaching of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then the world changed for Mus'ab ibn Umair, and Allah be pleased with him. And so when he embraced Islam, you might remember when he came back from Abyssinia, when he made that initial migration, and the Messenger of Allah was with his companions, and here came a young man, and that young man was on his way, and Nabi Sallam, he changed the discussion, the topic of conversation with his companions, and he says, "Unzur ila hadha rajul qad nawwara Allahu qalbah." Look towards this man. Allah has placed nur, Allah has placed light in his heart. لَقَدْ رَأَيْتُ بَيْنَ أَبَوَيْنِ الرِّوَانِ بِأَطْيِبِ الطَّعَامِ وَالشَّرَابِ. Indeed, I encountered him. I know of this man. I knew of this man. His parents would give him the best of food and the best of drink. فَدَعَاهُ حُبَّ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِ إِلَى مَا تَرَوْنَ. But his love for Allah and His Rasul have called him to what you now see in him. And they said he was walking wearing two rags that are held together by thorns. The man who was initially in the world of images became a person who was living now in the world of ideals. But in making that transition, he had to dispense. He had to dispense and do away with the outer form. That is not the essence, for indeed, he said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَنْظُرُ إِلَىٰ أَجْسَامِكُمْ وَلَا إِلَىٰ صُوَرِكُمْ وَلَكِنْ يَنْظُرُ إِلَىٰ قُلُوبِكُمْ or كما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم, indeed, Allah does not look at your forms or your shapes, but indeed Allah looks at your hearts, for that is where your ideals rest. In this day and age, we are living in a world of images, not a world of ideals. We are living with the proliferation of images. You might know, of course, that in the early days of industrial capitalism, when you had those bankers and you had those very wealthy capitalists, they didn't hold the consumers in much regard. They thought these are people who are working like 12 to 14 hours a day, and they didn't really have much leisure time. And they thought, would they even need leisure time, bearing in mind, of course, they're working so long, they wouldn't have any time to enjoy themselves anyway. Until they began to reconsider, maybe these workers, employees could become useful to us as consumers. If they became useful to us as consumers, then we too would benefit and profit from them. And so then thus began the creation of consumer demands. So advertising began. So now people are confronted with images of things they never actually knew they needed before, until they saw those images. And when they see the images, then the need comes to the fore. It's as if you need that thing that you're seeing. And now that you need it, that means you have to buy it. In essence, you're buying things you don't need. Today you're buying things you don't need with money you don't own, because you're buying on credit, right? And this is a situation. But this is a trapping of images. This is what we were not supposed to involve ourselves with. We were always a people in our glorious history, a people of ideas, and not a people of images. It was not the outer form. Like Brother Adnan was speaking about the great corruption of many people in introducing these bid'at and these innovations in our religion. But I was sitting there and I was listening, and subhanAllah, it's so true, because these people don't give you ideals, right? They come with the fanfare. You know, they come with the fanfare. They will come with the glitter and the mega turbans, and they will come with all of the tinsel, isn't it, right? The tinsel, and they will come with all of their orchestra comes with them. Who sing, the orchestra is there for them. And they come with a whole package. And even the women are there, and it's just like, oh,